All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How are y'all doing? Good to see ya. It's a Wednesday. Had to remind myself what day it is. Maybe I'll get in the mic a little bit more. Hopefully y'all can hear me fine. We're live on Callin, Rockfin, and YouTube. We'll see how it goes. As the show went on yesterday, it got hotter and hotter. My computer got hotter, and it kind of everything slowed down quite a bit. So we'll see. I'll just try and be quick about it. We'll see what happens when I switch to noon, because it looks like I might actually switch my shows to noon, maybe starting next week. We'll stay with 11 for this week, but it might actually go to noon. We'll start with this from Elliot Jacobson. Temperatures 32°C, 90 Fahrenheit and higher for the 4 days in London and southeast UK. So there you go. I mean, there's a right for all the feels. It's just summer. Yeah, you know, again, 90 degrees, kind of an anomaly for London, and in 4 days of that is starting to get a little bit like, okay, well that's different. So I'm on a laptop, obsolete optics. Yeah, I know all about the dust thing. I had my computer cleaned out last year when it was very hot, and it really didn't make much of a difference, honestly. Just being real with you, it didn't make too much of a difference. I took it to a shop and they cleaned it all out, and it was like, well, it's about the same. So I don't know. It could be my battery is kind of going bad, so also could be that. Maybe if I replace my battery, it could help. I don't know. Anyways, are we having fun yet? Kids splashing in pools, ice cream, folks soaking in the rays in Hyde Park. Anyways, yeah, it's a little weird. I need a desktop with a top level cooling system. Okay, I'm on it. I'm right. I'm actually I appreciate the suggestions, but I probably am not going to get a desktop. It's probably never going to happen because at least not right now. Maybe in the future, but for the time being, need a cooling pad. Maybe a cooling pad. Yeah, obsolete optics. Sure, that might work. Let's see what's next. Iraq's power grid has been fried by extreme temperatures exceeding 51°C in a heat wave that's forced authorities to step in as millions swelter. Well, that doesn't sound good. Power grid shuts down. That is something that happens when we have extreme weather. That happens when it gets really hot. Obsolete optics. Put a Logitech speaker lap desk N700 to put under it. Okay. Maybe I'll do that. Lap desk speaker, lap desk N700. Hold on one second. Maybe I'll write that down. That actually might help me in my other endeavors too, because it's hard for me to work on music also when it's hot. Partly why I'm changing my schedule. I did get some music in today, so success on that one. I got a couple hours of work in, which is great, before it got too heaty. It's got built-in speakers and a cooling fan. Sounds absolutely exquisite. Plugs into USB. Okay. Anyways, a gigantic power grid has been fried by extreme temperatures exceeding 50 C. In a heat wave forcing authorities to step in as millions swelter. Hasn't this been going on for a while? This has been going on for a little while, right? Since last week, at least. Iran's power grid has been fried by extreme temperatures exceeding 51 C in a heat wave. Blah, blah, blah. I hate when they say the same things over and over again. Millions were left without power on Saturday as the electricity grid failed in southern provinces of Basra, Dakar, and Maysan. Reports of mass food spoilage and illness have forced authorities to take measures to keep the population safe due to a quote noticeable rise in temperatures. Okay. Local reports say residents were battling the heat by driving around their city for the sole purpose of using the air conditioner. Well, who hasn't done that, eh? I think we've all done that a little bit. But sure, why not? You know, if you're absolutely losing it, if you feel reality, if you feel the world slipping away from you and you're graying out a little bit, you might want to take a drive in your car and use the air conditioner. Sunday morning, the governor of Dakar province announced a public holiday for state employees would be extended until the religious festival of Muharram begins on Tuesday. Weather forecasts indicated most of Iraq would experience temperatures of around 45 C or higher this week, but the sudden spike has caught even the most experienced by surprise. The electricity grid is not the only public service in trouble. The hospitals also under strain as they battle an influx of heat stroke cases. Wow. So people that live in the Middle East actually suffering heat stroke. I mean, I just, I don't think anybody's making this up. I love to hear people downplay how hot it is and how people suffer from the heat. I always love to hear that. Because it is, so scientific and stuff. But people actually suffer when it gets hot. That's kind of a thing. 51 C, do you know how hot that is? It's got to be like 125 or something. Let's find out. I can guarantee you, even if you're a hardy soul, I can guarantee you that 125 Fahrenheit, it really sucks. And put a little humidity on there. And then the fun begins. 123.8. I was off by a little bit, but that's a lot. That's a lot. So people suffering in Iraq from the heat. Yeah, that's just, 120. I mean, after 120, who's counting, right? If it's 120 degrees, it's just like, oh, Yes, and Judy asks, I wonder how to, or Jean, sorry, Jean, I wonder how it affected the agriculture. Right, so what's the temperature at which plants lose, give up the ghost? I think it's about 120. Around 120 is when plants are like, I'm cool, guys. I'm just gonna lay down right here. Poppy says I got to quit complaining about 104, but 104 ain't nothing to play with, right? It's hot. It is hot. I'm currently experiencing like a daily night, about 99, 98, 99 or whatever it is. And that is causing a whole bunch of havoc in my life. And it's uncomfortable. And then when you try to go to sleep, it's real hard to go to sleep because it's super hot outside. It was like 80 degrees when I was trying to go to sleep last night. Regan says the thermal threshold is reached at 115 Fahrenheit, but varies with the duration of the hot temperatures, the absolute highest temperature reached, tissue age, the water content of tissue, etc., etc. Right. Deebs, current ambient temp at my location, 24 degrees C, 86 Fahrenheit. You are Oregon, right? So that's pretty toasty for Oregon at 11 a.m. All right. Let's move on to this. The Rhine. Water levels have dropped so low you can literally walk across it in some parts. It's now becoming an inland beach. The Rhine. It's like a pretty big river in Europe there. It's big. It's a big river. It's like a major transport route. Transport ships can now only carry 30% of the load, tripling transport costs. The EU response, they are trying for carbon neutral by 2030. Maybe a bit late. Right, so, I mean, some people are surprised, by all the action that some are trying to take about climate. They're really ramping up the climate change thing. Here it comes. It's the evil plan about climate change. I don't know. Do you think, and people who are aware of climate change are like, oh, now you guys are doing something. I guess it just depends on your perspective, right? But that's not good, right? Seems like a lot of rivers are losing, if this is some mad evil plan or they're microwaving storm clouds or something. Man, that's a lot of power. That's a lot of energy because it seems to be happening all over the planet. Or could it be that climate change is actually just happening? Could it be? This is absolutely insane video in South Korea, extreme flooding. Here's some flooding that hasn't been seen in 80 years or more. Very extreme flooding causing massive problems in Seoul and the entirety of the country. Floods. How many floods have we seen? In the Middle East, in the Midwest, and pretty much everywhere. Now South Korea. I think there's something going on. I wonder what's going on. So many extreme weather events. What's happening? Eastern Kentucky. Kentucky just wrecked by a bunch of flooding, and now they're going to get some more. I wonder what's happening. I wonder what's going on. The National Weather Service has extended a flood watch for areas of eastern Kentucky and said there's a threat of thunderstorms in the region for much of the coming week. There's a persistent threat of thunderstorms through Thursday that could produce heavy rain and cause flash flooding, especially if multiple storms pass over the same area. That's logical. Forecast includes Monday, when Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are scheduled to join Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear and his wife Brittany at a federal emergency management agency state disaster recovery center in eastern Kentucky to survey the damage, but they might be getting some more damage. Biggest concern is the possibility of slow-moving storms on Tuesday and Wednesday, which could dump heavy rain on already saturated soil. Man, there's a lot of extreme weather going on, guys. I wonder what's going on. Heat waves, floods, drought. Anybody? Anybody? Siri, you know, I never did like you. I know that's mean. Kevin Chanholzer says, is Rand Paul admitting yet that climate change is a real and immediate threat? I wonder. I don't know. You got to spend a lot of energy ignoring things. You got to ignore so many things in order to go like, no, it's absolutely. What is this craziness that they're making up? It must have been some big evil plan that they were trying to warn us about for 50 years. And it never happened until it happened. And then when it happened, we're like, see what they're doing. Look what they're doing. Okay. Well, hey, I said no. Sorry about that. Dre Guy says power grid shuts down, no digital money system, no buying and selling, no rent mortgage payments unless you have cash. Keep cash on hand. Good advice from Dre Guy. Definitely. I think that's a good thing to do. Urban Hermit says MacBooks are supposed to work up to 95 Fahrenheit ambient temp. Well, that must be the problem because it often surpasses 95 pretty quickly in my studio. If it's 90 outside and it's 90 right now, then it's, tack on 5 or 10 in my studio at least. It was 100 degrees. Yesterday when I was trying to get on some things, work on some things in the afternoon, it was like 100 and over 100 at least. So there's that. What's next? What is next? Let's get all these tabs going. I'm sure that's going to help my situation. All the tabs I have open, that's a problem. Peter Nines says, if you're serious about addressing climate change, then you have to support a direct downscaling of production and consumption in the wealthiest global north countries. Otherwise, you can forget about emission reductions. It ain't happening. Yeah. Yeah, that's fairly obvious. It's fairly obvious. But meanwhile, people are like, why? There's an evil plan afoot to take away your stuff. There's also an evil plan afoot to destroy the planet with your stuff. I don't know which one. Let's weigh those out. Let's weigh those out. And this is kind of this is kind of funny to me. Well, not funny. The rioting is not funny necessarily. This looks pretty harsh. Thousands in Bangladesh are protesting the rising cost of oil and fuel. Take a look at the scenes from different protests around Bangladesh. A lot of people are upset about the rising price of oil, fuel, food, everything else. Definitely, it is a concern for people. But this guy, Thorsten, I don't know who this guy is, green policy and the Great Reset. He's labeling this the Great Reset and green policy. I don't know. I mean, you can't just slap the name on everything. It's a little bit sloppy. The whole, it's like calling everybody, everybody you don't like communist, or everybody you don't like fascist, or it's just like it's a little bit sloppy, and it's actually not even true. Who knows if this has anything to do with green policy or the Great Reset? It could be, globally, oil prices are way up, right? Globally, oil prices are way up, and they're due to many, many factors, right? And it's not just, you can't just slap the whole, they're trying to do the thing with the climate change, and that's the reason. I don't know. I actually don't know enough about, the deep nuance of what's happening in Bangladesh, but I'm just saying you can't just tie rising oil prices all to green policy or Great Reset. There are a number of factors. Could some of those policies be in there? Sure. But this is just going to be reality, I think, in the future. As we go further into the future, is that, you're going to have collapse coming from all kinds of different directions, and you're going to have a misunderstanding of all the reasons why the collapse is happening, and you're going to just have a lot of angry people out in the streets, and this is how it's going to go down. Unfortunately, I wish this was not the case, because with with adequate with real communication, if, people that actually cared about you were in charge, if, money hungry, corrupt, greedy ghouls weren't running the world, if there were a few people that had some honor and some integrity, out there telling you the truth about what is going on and how we came to where we are, and in how we go forward, then, the communication might be a lot different. People would be probably more prepared to actually understand what is going to happen, or is happening now. But yeah, but this is kind of just a, I don't know, microcosm of like the disconnect and misinformation out there. Is like, things are going to get weirder, and I don't know what to say about that. Do your best to not add to the weirdness, and I hope that real communication can start happening, on a grander level. But that's, I'm trying to fill in the gap. Hopefully, somehow, that is my intent with this show, etc. Um, what we have, I think I'm gonna, just before I jump off of YouTube, I'm just gonna say, what we have, the situation and climate change is starting to bear her teeth. Extreme weather situations are happening, and that is going to add to the collapsing economies of the world. Whether you think, I mean, I think to think that it's all controlled and it's all contrived, I think is a little bit, I don't think that's what it is. And I also think it's a little bit, it's just not correct. That is not the correct, assertion of what is going on, to think that it's all controlled and it's all contrived. Are certain governments and leaders and people, doing the wrong thing in the face of what's happening? Sure. Do people have nefarious plans afoot? Sure. But to think that it's all that, you have to understand that we're entering a period of climate catastrophe, collapse, which, will soon dwarf all of the issues that you think are, you know, I mean, it's going to dwarf even, what you think is happening with Agenda 2030 or the WEF or whatever. All of those things are going to become, you know, interesting side notes to the fact that, the biosphere is collapsing. So, and then, how do we go forward from there? I don't know. And that's unfortunate. That's just the unfortunate reality of what's going on. But until we get to the point where people are like, oh, I see what's happening. We really messed things up here, didn't we? Until people get to that point on a major level, on a widespread level, get to that point of understanding, there's going to just be a whole bunch of like, the commies are doing this, and the liberals are doing this, and the fascists are doing this, and the Nazis are doing this, and it's all the bad people are doing this to us, and the CEOs of the billionaires are doing this, and the Bill Gates is doing this, and the story. There's just going to be a lot of like, over there, over there, over there. Let's find the enemy. Let's find let's find the scapegoat for what's going on. Tired Allison says, any particular topic that we're talking about, or that I don't know. We're just talking about, right now I'm just talking about confusion around what's going on with climate change, but I am going to move into some other subjects in a bit. Some more just, whatever, political news of the day type subjects. North, I see you've been wanting to call in. That's cool. I'm going to actually sign off of YouTube now, guys. Sorry for the shortness of the YouTube segment, but I'm going to talk about some other things. And you can catch the rest of the show on Rockfin and on Callin. North, if you want to call in, all good. If you want to save it for later, that's cool too. But I'll see you all, on YouTubers, I'll see you all tomorrow at 11 a.m.